What is up everybody, this is Sebastian from Sebastian Fitness Solutions, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to get those round cap delts, aka 3D delts. Now when it comes to getting that rounded 3D look for the delts, it's probably one of the most coveted goals that people have, especially those who train for aesthetics. And it also happens to be something that is attributed to guys who are on heavy steroids. It's actually probably one of those identification marks that people use. If you have someone who's got like huge 3D delts and he's shredded, then he's probably on gear. Well, for the most part that is kind of true, and I agree with that. However, it is very much possible for someone who's non-enhanced to have well-capped delts that look kind of like they're 3D, and it only comes down to how you train and if you train very well and smart. Now, before I get into the details of that, let me first explain the delt muscle itself, right? So when you look at the deltoid muscle, it's made up of three individual muscles, namely the front deltoid, which originates at what's called as the lateral third of the clavicle, the lateral portion of your clavicle bone, and it runs down like this into the common insertion point, which I'll discuss in a bit. You've got the second, the lateral head, the middle head, which starts at the acromion process, this bump right here, and it spans downward into that same insertion point. And then you've got the rear delt that starts from the lower border, the lower lip of the spine of scapula. It's like this slight ridge on the scapular bone, and it runs again forward into that same common point. And that common insertion point is what's called as the deltoid tuberosity. Tuberosity, for the most part, means a bump on the bone. So this humerus bone of your upper arm, there's a slight bump on that called as the deltoid tuberosity, and that's where all three of these muscles combine and converge together and insert there. Now, if one were to give a visual estimate, or rather a guess of what the surface area of each of these muscles would be, if you study the deltoid itself, you will see that the front delt is a slight strip of muscle that starts from here and runs down here. Doesn't really cover much area, whereas the middle delt is what takes about most of the real estate of the deltoid, and then you've got some portion that's taken up by the rear delt. Now, I really haven't found any concrete evidence or concrete breakup on percentages or surface area of a standard deltoid muscle, but if you were to take a visual representation or a visual estimate, looking at anatomy charts or looking at muscle development in general, I would wager, let's say, the front delt taking about maybe 15 to 20% of the delt, the middle delt taking around at least 50% of the whole deltoid, and then the rear delt taking about maybe 30 to 35%. Right? Now the reason I'm discussing all this is because now let's look at the way people train their shoulders. Most people, when they train their shoulders, they train just the front delt. For them, shoulder training, if you think about it, comes down just to the front delt. And they don't do this with purposeful intention. If you look at the most popular shoulder exercise, the overhead press, if you look at someone who's not a typical bodybuilder, if you're training for strength, they will pretty much use that as their staple exercise for shoulders, and everything else seems like either an accessory or it's not used at all. If you're looking at a bodybuilder, maybe they'll start doing other exercises, but for the most part you'll have people focusing on overhead presses. Some people even believe that the overhead press hits all three heads of the deltoid, which is again anatomically and kinesiologically impossible. So why am I saying all this is because if you look at the overhead press, it trains the front delt, the anterior delt. And while that's not really a bad thing as such, but if you look at the real estate of the deltoid muscle itself, there is very little portion the front delt, takes up in the whole deltoid muscle. And whatever portion that it doesn't add to the roundness look of it. If you look at the shoulder itself, it comes down to the round portion pretty much comes down to the middle delt, and that's what sticks out, gives a 3D look either from the side or from the front, and then to a certain extent rear delts. But very seldom or very little contribution of that comes from the front delt. So when you look at someone who's training just overhead presses or maybe doing some very limited work for the middle and the rear delt, then the answer is pretty clear why they don't really have best of delts. Mind you, someone with great genetic potential at the shoulders could very well build great shoulders with little or no work for them. But if you look at the average person, they would need some direct stimulus for these two muscle groups in order to get those 3D delts. So the whole point of this video is to tell you that if you're looking for those round capped 3D delts, you need to focus more attention on building the middle delt and the rear delt. Middle delt, again, very simple, very standard. Lateral raises are the staple exercise for your middle delt, which you can do. And then the rear delt, again, a muscle that is so often overlooked by most trainees, either classified as accessory work or in many cases just completely ignored because they don't really see the value in it. But if you think of nice round cap delts, to get this portion right here, you need some good solid rear delts. And I'm pretty proud of the rear delts that I've developed over here, and I think that is what is helping me get that look as well. So that is what you need to get if you want to get those big round delts. So once again, if you want to do that, start adding more exercises for the middle delt and the rear delt. For the middle delt, the staple is again the cable lateral raise, the best exercise hands down for building your middle delt. And then for the rear delt, you got to work on stuff like high prone rows or standing rows, again working the two functions of the rear delt, namely shoulder abduction and shoulder hyperextension. So that's my quick little tip for you guys. If you want to get those big round 3D delts, and if you want to do it naturally without the use of any gear and to the best that you can, then I would highly recommend that you evaluate your program and see if you're adding in enough volume for your middle and your rear delts. If you've been endlessly and mindlessly doing overhead presses hoping for bigger delts, that is not the answer. Hopefully this has shown you that, and now you can put some of that attention on the other muscles that will actually give you that outcome, and by doing so, hopefully you'll get the result that you're looking for. So I really hope that you found this video informative, and if you did, don't forget this thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, click that subscribe button right now and share this video with all your friends and your gym mates who would want to get those nice big round delts. Again, not everybody trains for aesthetics, but it doesn't hurt, and everybody would love to have those nicely capped delts. It makes a physique look amazingly aesthetic, and it gives you the image of someone being strong and lean. So hopefully this video will give you the guide to that. So thanks for watching, guys. That's all I have for you today, and until next time, keep learning, keep growing. Hey, thank you for watching that video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And finally, to watch another video, click right over here.